Hi guys, welcome to my video. In this video, I'm gonna talk about Spring Data JPA with Spring Boot, and I have the demo with that. The content of the video include what is the JPA, Spring Data JPA, some DAO technique, and I have a demo with REST API and Spring Data JPA from the Maven upgrader configuration to write some JPA repository. Now let's get started. Firstly, what is the JPA? That is Standard API for ORM. It means Object Relational Mapping. It's only specification and it includes set of interface and required implementation. So there are some implementation of JPA like Hibernate, OpenJPA, and some people have some confusion between the Hibernate and JPA. You can read in the link to understand more. So now, what is Spring Data JPA? Spring Framework and Spring Data is part of Spring Frameworks, and Spring Data JPA is part of Spring Data. Because in Spring Data, we have some component, we have some child project like JPA, Spring Data JDBC, and Spring Data JDIC. But in this video, I focus on Spring Data JPA. It can help us to reduce the boilerplate code, and we just write the repository interface, and Spring will provide the implementation automatically. So we have some DAO technique like native Hibernate API, standard JPA, and especially Spring Data JPA is the project of the Spring Framework. And in this video, we will talk about Spring Data JPA. So in the now we move to the demo API. I will demo on the object products, and we have a table. It include name, description, price, and we will write some API with this description. And remember that in the endpoint of API, we should have an S with the plural noun here. As I mentioned, that is the practice when we name the endpoint of the API. So we will write the API and using Spring Data JPA in the DAO technique to interact with the database. And we have some steps to do that: database setup, Maven config, Datasource configuration, and this is the table products. And now I have the script here, and I will upload this script for the table in the source code in the link of in the description of the video. And remember that ID is auto increment. So before to implement the API, we should configure some dependency for Spring Data JPA, and it have two things like this for Maven and Gradle. In this project, I use Maven for the demo, and when we put the two dependency here, because I use my SQL, so I have to put the lib for the MySQL connector. And after we link and install project and to get the repository to your local repository, you can see in the dependency of Maven project in IntelliJ, you can see the Spring Data JPA here, and some of the other library we add in the dependency. Okay, after we put the dependency in the Maven project. Now we will configuration for the data source in Springboot, and that is similar to the other thing. Just I just use one data source, so it's very simple. We just follow the pattern of Springboot project, and we put the link, username, and password in the property file, and there is no the other configuration. So this is the application architect, and we can see that when client requests to the controller, request the endpoint to the endpoint, it's go to the controller, and it's go to the product service like service layer, and the last one is the DAO layer. That is the parts interact directly with the database. And in the DAO layer, we can use some technique like native hibernate, standard JPA, Spring Data JPA, and also Spring JDBC template. And in this video, we focus on Spring Data JPA. It helps us to minimize the boilerplate DAO code. Yeah. Now we will create the entity, that is the parts it interest the mapping between the database table and the object in Java. And I have a project class here, and when we put it with the annotation entity, it becomes the entity, mean it map the type and the field with the database. And remember that for the ID, we in the database that either the ID is not the normal, it's either increment. So in the mapping, and remember that we have to name the name of the column, and sometimes in this case the product ID and ID is a different name, so we have to name the name. We have to make it clear in this case. And sometimes the name of field in Java and the name of column is the same, so we need not to specify the name in the entity object. Yeah, that is the ID for the increment. So have some get set here. Okay, this one is we finish create the entity. We can use some tool to map in between them. Now we move to the JPA repository configuration. In the Spring Data JPA, repository is very important. So we have to some config here, in this case in the DAO layer. So to do that, the first step we have to enable JPA repository, and we have to specify the package you use for the repository. And yeah, you can put the annotation here. So I create the package repository under the main package. So sometimes we need not to specify here, but for implicity is make everything clear. So we should put the package scan in to enable repository for this package. So, but in the case we can remove this annotation. It's also fine. Yeah, it's also fine when we remove this one. But to make everything clear, we should put this to specify the package. Okay. And similar to the annotation entity scan, we need not to put here, but because the package is under the main package, and with the application file, the main application file. So we need not to boot. Now I will create the repository interface, that is the main part today, to create the interface with the object and with the entity we already created. And in this case we have some interface here, but for the simple demo I use the CRUD repository interface. And now I create the interface called product repository. We can also name it a DAO. Yeah, but for Spring JPA project, you can use repository, is better. So in this case, I extend the interface called CRUD, and it's put the name, the entity type and the ID type. Okay. Yeah, and we have to specify the annotation repository here. And you can see in the CRUD we have some default method like file on, file by ID. It can help you to need not to write any code in the interface, and we just use it. And we have some query approach like add new method in the interface, use JPQL, query DSL, or the custom query. And in this video, I should do the simple thing that is use the default methods in the repository and need not use anything else. Now we can move to the next part. We will write some code to call the repository from the service and controller. So we will write some methods to get on products, get products by ID, insert or update products, and the last one is delete a product. That is the some methods we need to write in the service class. And in this case, I use the interface because that is the plastic when we do for the dependency injection, we should inject the interface instead of use the class. And so I will write some methods here. Yeah, so we will index the repository to the service class to call the method from the repository. And you can see that there are some default. So similar to, you can write the methods for get products by the keys, primary keys. So it also have the method file by ID, that is the default methods in the repository when we extend the interface CRUD repository. And before to get this, we also check the ID is available or not. So for the update or insert methods, I will check if the ID is in none. I will create the new product, and if the ID is not known, I will check is this ID is existing in the table products or not, and if it's existing, I will update this one, and otherwise I will maybe through the error or through none or return none for this one. Right here for shorter, I can do something like we can update this one directly and need not to update that back to the old object. That is some logic we can do, and it depends on your business. You can write it a different thing, but the cars in this the main idea here, we just from the service we just call to the DAO or repository class. It can help you to call the method to interact, to insert, update or query data from the database, and we need not to write a lot of things in the DAO layer or in the repository layer. We just focus on develop the business in the service layer. Now we will go to the controller layer, and in this one I will write some method to for the REST API, and I insert the product service interface to this class to call to the API, to call to the DAO layer or repository layer. Yeah. And that is the simple demo, so we need not to do a lot of things. Here we just come to the service, and do not I don't implement any validation. For example, we just come to the service class for demo, because we just in this video I just focus to show the demo to understand about how to Spring Data JPA work. Yeah, and in this one, I will write the other methods for the delete mapping, and it also receive the path variable ID, that is the ID of product, and to delete it out of the database. Okay, we will call the method delete here, and after call that, I return the message delete successfully, or you can return anything you want, like return the ID already deleted or something like that. But remember that in the service class, I also change something like we have to check that the ID is existing in the database or not. If not exist, we can throw the error or do something else. Okay, that's all for this. Now I will run this for the testing. Okay, you can see that this one we get the error. The reason is because product service, in product service we don't have any annotation here to make it become a bin. so it cannot find the bin here, so we have to put the annotation service in this case. Now we will run this one to test. Okay, this one it gets on products from the database. You can see we have a 3 product here, and the other API is a get product by ID. I will get the ID 11. Yeah, and we can run this. Yeah, you can see it return a 1 product. And the next is we will test the API for create the new products with port method here, and we will send the JSON. In this one we need not ID because the ID will auto generate. Yeah, and we can see that after successful it return this one, and we can see the new product is already created. Now we move to the update here, and I will update the products with ID 11. Yeah, so delete the ID here. Yeah, now we test this with the boot mapping for the boot method to delete the object. Yeah, and we sorry, not delete, we update this product, and you can see in the database there's some change. Now I will test with the delete method. Yeah, and I pass the 11, and we can check this. Yeah, okay, the product 11 is removed out of the database. Okay, that's all about the Spring JPA. I do the complete project, the REST API for products, and remember that in this one I use Spring REST API with the Spring Data JPA, and it can help us to can do that. And remember that we have to enable the repository class with Datasource, and we add the library to use for Spring Data JPA. Okay, thank you so much for watching my video, and I hope it can help you so much in Spring project.